Dear students, welcome to the lesson 27 of the first chapter from the subject Advanced Structural Analysis. So in this particular lesson, let us solve the second problem related to rigid jointed frames. How to tell that this is sway type is, see the supports are at two different levels. So when the supports are at two different levels or even at the same level, if you suppose push the beam here at B, so it will try to tilt towards the right, or if you push it at C, it will try to tilt towards the left. So this type of problem will come under the sway type of problem. So what will happen in sway type of problem? Along with the moments, you will also have certain horizontal reactions, okay, in your degrees of freedom. So let's now first fix the degrees of freedom. So step 1 is to fix your degrees of freedom. Step 1, DOF. Now see, at A and D there will be no degree of freedom because they are fixed. Coming to B and C, there will be one because these are joints, frame joints, so there will be one rotation at B and one rotation at C. So along with this, there will be a horizontal displacement at B and a horizontal displacement at C. But the thing is, both the displacements will be same. So however much this moves, B moves, the same amount C also will move in any of the direction when load is applied. So the total degree of freedom will come up to 3 in this case. So what are those? Theta B, theta C and UB, which is equal to UC. Okay, so these are same, that is important. Okay, so there are 3 degrees of freedom. Now what will be the second step? The second step is to assign your global and local coordinates. Assign global local coordinates. So here there will be one displacement. So let's call this as your third coordinate. This is UB is equal to UC. Right. So now coming to the local coordinates. So each member will have two local coordinates. And figures are not to the scale, you don't have to worry. Okay. So coming to the local coordinates, every time we are taking local coordinate to be in clockwise direction, right? So here clockwise, coming to this is clockwise and clockwise, coming to this clockwise and clockwise. So let's name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So these are your 6 local coordinates which you have in the problem, right? So once you're done with this, what is your next step? Next step is to calculate your fixed end moments. So step 3 is what? FEMs. So for that, let us separate the 3 members. So we'll do for AB here, okay, and then for BC, let's take it here. This is your BC, then your CD. So let's take it here, right? So this is A, B, B, C and C, D. Right, we will need loading also because we need to find reactions also in this case, because one of your global coordinate is a horizontal displacement, we need the reactions also. So what we'll do is, this is how much? 60 kilo Newton. So this is 2.4 meters. See, this is total 6 meters. So the remaining will be how much? 3.6 meters. Coming to this beam, we have 2 point loads like this. So 80 kilonewton is one, 90 kilonewton is the other. Then this is 3 meters, 3 meters and 4 meters. And here what will you have? You will have an UDL which is equal to 24 kilonewton meter. And this is how much? 5 meters. So let's put the directions for your fixed end moment. So here the beam will push this rightward. So I have to lift the beam. So it will be like this. And this will be like this. So this is what MBA. This is MAB. Coming to this will sag the beam, so I have to hog the beam to keep it in its original position. Here it is MCB. Coming to this will move leftward, so I have to push it up. Here also we have to push it up. This is what MCD and this is MDC. Now let's calculate one by one the values. So first let us do MAB. That's WAB square by L square. It's nothing but your 60 into A is how much? 3.6 into 2.4 whole square by L is total 6 square. So this will be equal to 34.56 kilonewton meter. Coming to your MBA. So this will be WA square B by L square. So 60 into 3.6 whole square into 2.4 by 6 square. This will be 51.84 kilonewton meter. Then let's do for MBC. Now this is very important. Never you got two loads till now. So here there are two loads. So what you have to do separately for 80 kilonewton you have to do, and separately for 90 kilonewton you have to do. That is what WAB square. Both are eccentric loading. Okay. So WAB square by L square for your 80 kilonewton load plus your 90 kilonewton load. Right. So what will happen to this? And W for 80 is 80 kilonewton load is 80. A for that is 3 and B for that is 7 square by 10 square. Plus for the second load 90 is W. A is what? 6. See from here to here 6. For this A is 3. Okay. So B for this is what? 4 square by 10 square. So on simplifying, how much will you get for this particular value? So you will get 204 kilonewton meter. Now similar to this you have to do your MCB. Again WA square B by L square here. Right, both for 80 kilonewton load plus your 90 kilonewton load. So what will happen to this? 80 into 3 square into 7 by 10 square plus 90 into 6 square into 4 by 10 square. So this will be how much? 180 kilonewton meter. Now moving to the last span, MCD. Now here MCD is equal to MDC because it is symmetric loading. That's nothing but your WL square by 12. So what is your W? 24 into 5 square by 12. So this value will come up to 50 kilonewton meter. So we got all the values of your fixed end moments. So it's better we'll write it. So 34.56. So for all these units are kilonewton meter. So I'm not repeatedly writing them. Okay. 51.84. This is how much? 204. This is how much? 180. This is 50. And this is 50. Now along with this you need to calculate your reactions. Okay, so let's name the reactions. This I will call as RA. This let me call as RB, RBH. Okay, now let's call this as RBV. This one as RC. Coming here, this is RCV. This is RCH, and here let's take it as RD. Okay, so first let us calculate for the span AB. Now first we'll do summation vertical forces equal to 0. See, these both are leftward, we'll take positive, and this is downward, we'll take it as negative. If you cannot imagine, you can rotate the beam, rotate the column horizontally and do it. Okay, it's not mandatory, right? So here first of all we're doing summation V equal to 0, all upward forces positive. So what are we doing here? RA plus RBH will be equal to how much? 60. Then coming to sum of moments about, in this case let's take A, all clockwise forces positive. So what will happen here? See, this is anti-clockwise MAB. So minus 34.56. Your KA is passing through A, so not no any movement. Then plus 60 into 3.6. And then again plus 51.84 minus RBH into 6 equal to 0. So this will give you the value of RBH, that will be equal to 38.88 kilo Newton. Once you get this, substitute it here, you will get your RA value. That's nothing but 21.12 kilo Newton. Now let's do for this span BC, same summation V first. So RBV plus RCV will be equal to 80 plus 90. That's nothing but 170. Then what will we do? Sum of moment about B. Let's take sum of moment about B here. Right. So anti-clockwise minus 204. Then plus 80 into 3 plus 90 into 3 plus 180 minus RCV into total span is 10 equal to 0. See, this moments you already know. This is minus, this is plus, 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 and this one is minus. Okay. So your RCV will be equal to 75.6 kilo Newton. Once you're done with this, substitute here, you will get your RBV. So this we got as 94.4 kilo Newton. Right. Once you're done with that, let's do for CD. So what is it for CD? RCH plus RD is equal to how much? 24 into 5. That's nothing but 120. Right. Or what we can simply do is not required actually. So this is symmetric loading. So what will happen? Your RCH will be equal to RD. This will be equal to total load by 2. It's a simpler way. It's better you do it like this. So this will be equal to how much? 60 kilo Newton. Right. So let me write all the values of your reactions. So RA is how much? 21.12 kilonewton. RBH is 38.88 kilonewton. BV 94.4 kilonewton. 75.6 kilonewton. This is your 60 kilonewton, and this also is 60 kilonewton. Now these are your FEM values. So once you have found your FEM values, what you should do? You have to find your EQJLs. Right? How will we do that? You just have to change the direction of your extent moment. So let's go to step number 4, EQJLs. Right? Let me put the okay. See, now it's not not mandatory that you have to put hinges like this and fixity like this. If you want, you can, or else you can skip them. Just to know the directions we are trying to put the EQJLs. Okay. So let me start one by one. So here you get in this direction, and here get in this direction. Here how will you get? You just have to refer to your previous extend moment diagram. Okay, for getting the directions. So I remember it, so I'm directly writing. So how much are these values? 34.56 kilonewton meter. Coming to this is 51.84 kilonewton meter. Come here, 204 kilonewton meter, 180 kilonewton meter. This is 50 kilonewton meter and 50 kilonewton meter. Right. So once we are done with that, we have to do our reactions. So all reactions also we need to put. So this is like this, like this. This is downward, downward here. This is this way and this way. So how much are the values? 21.12 kilonewton. This is 38.88 kilonewton. 94.4 kilonewton. This is 75.6 kilonewton. Coming to this is 60 kilonewton and 60 kilonewton. Right. So these are your EQJLs. So let's put the naming also, because further we need to refer this. So this your B, C, and D. Right. Once you are done with your EQJL, what is your next step? Finding your load matrices. So step 5 is what? Load matrices. So first let us do PL. So what will be the size of your PL? It will be degree of freedom into 1 or global into 1. So it will be 3 into 1 in this case, right? Then your PE, that's your EQJL. So that will be local into 1. So it will be 6 into 1 in this problem. Right, now let me write the values. See, when you're doing PL, what will you see? You will see your EQJLs and your external load. Here you'll see only EQJLs. That's important, right? So let me start writing. So this is first will be according to your first global coordinate. So where is your first global coordinate? Here at B. So at B, what all EQJLs you have to see. So you have two EQJLs here. One is anti-clockwise, the other one is clockwise. So minus 51.84 plus 204. Again go back to your main diagram and see there is a anti-clockwise moment here, external moment. So minus 18. Right. Then come to your second global coordinate, that's at C. So at C, what all you have? At C you have one anti-clockwise and one clockwise. Anti-clockwise is minus 180, clockwise is plus 50. Then again see the external load. Here there is a clockwise moment of 20. Right, so this will be your second line. Then coming to the third line, what you have to see? You have to see a third global coordinate. So it is a horizontal reaction at C. So come in the EQJL, see how many horizontal reaction you have at C. So there's one vertical here, one horizontal. Only one horizontal is there, right? There we have assumed rightward. So this is leftward. So what will happen? This will be minus 60. So this is your EQJL. Coming to your main diagram, again there is one point load there. So that's again minus 50. So the final values will be equal to 134.16 minus 110. Did I miss anything? Yes. See here, this is important. I missed it out. Here we saw at this point and here also at C. But because UB is equal to UC, what we have to do at B also we should see for the values. So here rightward means it will be plus 38.88. Coming to here, there is no horizontal reaction or load at B, so that will not come. So this will be the value. So how much will you get? Minus 71.12. Now what are these local coordinates? So compare your local coordinate. All local coordinates are clockwise. So here if you observe, this is clockwise. So it will be starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 local coordinates. So start one by one. 34.56 is clockwise. Then next one is anti-clockwise. So minus 51.84. Then again 204 plus. Then minus 180. Then again plus 60. Then minus 60. So this is your EQJL. So it's not 60, it's 50 moment. Right. Now, once you are done with the load matrix, what will you do next? You have to do your element stiffness matrix. So step 6 is what? Element stiffness matrix. So first of all, the standard element stiffness matrix, what you have is what? EI by L into 4 to 2, 4. Right, now there are three members, so we'll have three element stiffness matrix. First one will be KAB. So what will it be? EI. How much is this? 1.8 EI by L is 6, 4 to 2, 4. So on simplification, what will you get? EI into 1.2, 0.6, 0.6 and 1.2. Coming to the second member, that's your BC. So what's your EI there? 2 EI. 2 EI. The length is 10. 4, 2, 2, 4. So how much you will get? EI into 0.8, 0.4, 0.4 and 0.8. Coming to the last one, KCD. That will be equal to 2.5 EI by L is how much? 5 here in this case. So 4, 2, 2, 4. So that will be EI into 2112. Right. So this is a step 6. So once you're done with that, what you have to do? You have to do your unassembled stiffness matrix. Step 7 is unassembled stiffness matrix. So your unassembled stiffness matrix will be of the size 6 into 6. That's your local coordinate into local coordinate. What will you do for that? Place your element stiffness matrix in the diagonal way to get your unassembled stiffness matrix. The all other values will be what? 0. Right. So let me write the unassembled stiffness matrix. K will be equal to EI, I'll take common. Right. So 1.2, 0.6, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.6, 1.2, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then we have 0, 0, 0.8, 0.4, 0, 0, then 0, 0, 0.4 and 0.8, 0, 0. Then the last elements will be 2, 1. Finally, 1, 2. So this is your unassembled stiffness matrix of the order 6 into 6. So once you're done with the unassembled stiffness matrix, you have to do your displacement transformation matrix. Okay. So your step 8 is what? Displacement transformation matrix. Right. So what is your displacement transformation matrix? A. So what will this be equal to? Local into global or degree of freedom. So this will be a 6 into 3 matrix. Right. Now how will you write this is very important. So what you will do is at each global coordinate you will try to apply your unit displacement. So here theta b will be 1, then second theta c will be that 1, then your ub will be equal to uc, that will be equal to 1. So if you apply this type of displacement, what will happen to your local coordinates is what you have to check. Okay, so if you are applying at B, what will happen? 2 and 3 will be affected, local coordinates. Right, then if you are applying moment at C, then 4 and 5 local coordinates will be affected. So first is 2 and 3. So let me write. So in this case 2 and 3. So for 2 and 3 you should have 1, 1. And for the second case 4 and 5. So for 4 and 5 you should have 1, 1. Coming to your VB or UB or UC, which is equal to 1, what will happen? See, this you are pushing it rightward. Okay, so what will happen to your beams? I show it here. If this is your length A B, now how much is this length? 6 meters. right? So I am giving a unit displacement in this direction. So this will be a 1. So what will happen to this? This will bend like this, right? So if I bend like this, so if I draw a tangent, say from here to here, and if I want to go to the original beam, I have to go which direction? Anti-clockwise direction. So if it is anti-clockwise direction, then I have to take it as minus. What will be the value? You have to go for tan theta, because you know adjacent and opposite and adjacent. So since theta is very small, directly theta value you can write. So say for example tan theta is 1 by 6. So directly this value can be taken as 1 by 6, because theta tan is very small, this will become theta, right? So it will be 1 by 6. This is for AB. Similarly you have what? You have for CD also, right? This is your D, this is your point C. Here you are giving unit displacement. Again, how it will bend? Like this, same fashion it will bend. Suppose you take a tangent, what will happen? You have to take straight line like this, right? Now from here to here, this is again coming anti-clockwise, so this will be minus. Again you have to take tan theta is equal to 1 by, so this length is 5 meters, so 1 by 5. So theta will be what? 1 by 5 in this case with a minus sign. Now where all these values will come? See, this first beam is for A and B. So coordinate at A and coordinate at B in this. So 1 and 2. So it's minus 1 by 6 minus 1 by 6. Here 3 and 4 in the beam member, nothing will happen. In BC member, nothing will be happening. Okay, so this will be 0 and this will be 0. Coming to CD member, 1 at C and 1 at D will have the rotation. So that's minus 1 by 5 and minus 1 by 5. So this is very important step in doing your displacement transformation matrix, right? So once you're done with your displacement transformation matrix, now what is the next step? You have to find your global stiffness matrix. So let's write down the formula for global stiffness matrix. That's your step 9, global stiffness matrix. Okay, so what is this? Capital K. So what will be the size of your global stiffness matrix? Degree of freedom into degree of freedom. So that's a 3 into 3 matrix for this. So what is the formula? A transpose small k into A, wherein you have to do k into A multiplication first. So let me substitute the values what we have. So this is what? A 6 into 6 matrix. This is a 6 into 3 matrix. So these both are same. So you will get a 6 into 3 matrix. Okay, so first we will multiply these rows into these columns, right? This will come as it is for the multiplication, right? So this will be EI into, I'm directly writing the values for you. Okay, 0 0.6, 1.2, 0 0.8, 0 0.4, 0, 0. Coming here, 0, 0, 0 0.4, 0 0.8, 2 and 1. Coming here, minus 0.288, minus 0.288, 0, 0, minus 0.6, minus 0.6. So if you observe, this is a 3 into 6 matrix, whereas this is a 6 into 3 matrix. This 6 and 6 are same, so you will get a 3 into 3 matrix. That is what is our K matrix. So I'm writing it here. Your K matrix is EI into 3 into 3 values. Directly I'm writing the rounded off values. Okay, 2, 0.4, minus 0.3, then 0.4, 2.8, minus 0.6, minus 0.3, minus 0.6, and 0.34. So this will be your final global stiffness matrix. Okay, once you're done with your global stiffness matrix, what you have to do? You have to do your displacement matrix. Okay, that's your step 10. Let's do it here. Step 10 is what? displacement matrix, right? So your displacement matrix delta will be of the order degree of freedom into 1. So it's 3 into 1 in this particular case. It's nothing but K inverse into PL. Okay, you please calculate the K inverse by yourself. By now you know how to calculate it. So I'll directly write the K inverse value. So it's 1 by EI into 0.58, 0.043, 0.587, coming to next line 0.043, 0.577, 1.057, 0.587, 1.057, and here it will be 5.325. Now this we should multiply with the PL. What is your PL? Just check, here we have PL. So these are the values of PL. So what are the values? 134.16 minus 110 minus 71.12. Now this is a 3 into 3 matrix. This is a 3 into 1 matrix. These both are same. So you get a 3 into 1 matrix. That's what we have. So it's EI, and your 3 into 1 matrix will be equal to how much? 31.335 minus 132.875 minus 416.23. Now what are these is very important. Right, this is your theta B clockwise, this is your theta C anti-clockwise, this is your UB equal to UC, which is which direction? Leftward direction. We have assumed it as rightward direction, so we got a negative value, right? So it's in leftward direction. So this is your displacement matrix. So once you're done with your displacement matrix, what is the next step? You have to find your internal forces. Element internal forces. So what is the formula for that? Let me write. Which is step 11. Step 11. Internal forces. So it's your P, which is equal to K into A into delta. So previously you have your K, you have your delta. Do the multiplication, you will get a internal force matrix. So I'm directly writing the answer because you know the multiplication by now. So what will be the answer? You will be getting 138.67. Basically K into A is known. Multiply that with your delta. Okay. So this rows into this columns. If you do, you will get your values. These values. So 157.47, then minus 28.08, then minus 93.766, then minus 16.012, the last one is 116.863. Okay, so this is your internal forces. It's a 6 into 1 matrix. Next, what will be the next step? Step 12 will be your final forces. That's your PF. This will be equal to what? P minus PE. So you already have your P matrix here, right? Minus PE matrix you do, you get your answer. So let me write the PE matrix here, whatever we have it earlier. So you observe we have it here. So this is your PE matrix. Okay. So let me write that. 54.56 minus 51.84, 204 minus 180, 50 minus 50. So if you calculate this, you will get your final PF values. So what are these? 104.11, 209.31, minus 232.08, 86.234, the last minus 66.012, the last one will be 116.863. So this is your PF value. So your next step is what? Finding your bending moment drawing your bending moment diagram. So step 13 is what? BMD. So in order to draw the BMD, first let us put the final end forces or final end moments which we have got. Okay, so this is your A, B, B, C and C, D. Okay, this will be for AB, BA, then BC, CD, CD and D. Okay, so first is what? This is clockwise positive. So 104.11. Coming to the second one also is the clockwise moment here, which is 209.31. Coming to this point, so this is negative, so anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise, how much is it? 232.08. And here, how much is it? Clockwise. So it's clockwise 86.234. Coming to this point, anti-clockwise, so that's 66.012. And in this last, it is clockwise. So how much is this? 166.863. Right. So now let us draw the bending moment diagram for the beam. So, this is the beam what we have. So here it is pushing the beam down by 104. So this point let us call it as 104.411 kilonewton meter. Here it is lifting the beam up by 2 naught. Okay, so let's this keep this as 209.31 kilonewton meter. Right. So this is bending moment because of the fixed end moment. So from here to here, you just need to connect it linearly. Right. So this is your positive value and this is your negative value. Right. Coming to this, this is hogging the beam. So it will be negative value. Both are pushing it up. So here it is how much? This is 232.08 kilonewton meter. And this is somewhere around 86.234 kilonewton meter. Right. So we'll just connect this with a linear line. These are linear lines. So this is negative because it is hogging the beam. Here, this is also hogging the beam. So it will be negative. See, both are pushing it upward. Here also this is going upward. Here also this is going upward. So here it is your 66.012 kilonewton meter. And here it is how much? 166.863 kilonewton meter. They're not to the scale, so don't bother. This will connect with a linear line. Okay. Now these are because of the fixed end moments. Now because of loading also we need to draw the bending moment. So here this is the eccentric point load. So what will be the Bm max for the span AB? It will be WAB by L. That's nothing but 60 into 3.6 into 2.4 by 6, which will be equal to 86.4 kilonewton meter. So 86 will come somewhere, say for example here. So wherever there is no load, your bending moment is linear. So it will be a rectangle, triangle like this. Right. So this is how much? 86.4 kilonewton meter. So this will sag the beam. So this will be positive portion. Right. Now coming to this, first we'll do for DC, it is a UDL. So Bm max for your span CD will be what? WL square by 8. So that is 24 into 5 square by 8, which will be equal to 75 kilonewton meter. So it's a parabola, right? Again, this is positive. So this is 75 kilometer meter. Now here, if you observe, for the span BC, it doesn't have a standard case, right? Standard case formula like this, standard formulas we don't have when we have 2-point loads at some eccentric distances. So what we have to do is we have to first find the reaction and then try to find the bending moment. But how will it come? The shape will draw it here now. The values will do it after we find the shear force. Okay. So between B and this point, say point 1, there is no load. So that will be linear. Between 80 to 90, there is no load, again linear. Between 2 to 6, again no load, linear. So what will happen is some value, we're not sure on what is the value, so it will come like this linear, it will go like this linear, and it will come like this linear. This is under 80 kilonewton load and this is under 90 kilonewton load. This may be more and this may be less. Let us do it once we finish the calculation part, okay, of the shear force. So this is how your bending moment diagram will appear. Now let us go for the shear force calculation. Now for shear force, what do you need? You need to find the reaction. So what I'll do is, in this figure, let us put all the values. Okay. So your step 14 is a shear force diagram for which you need reactions. So let me write one by one. This is your RA. This is your RB horizontal. This is RB vertical. This is RC coming here. This is RC vertical and this is RC horizontal, right? This is your RD. Okay, so loadings anyways we have here. See, when you're calculating shear force diagram, any joint moments or any joint loads which are externally present, that you should not be considering. Only on the members, whatever loads are there, those you'll be considering for calculating the reactions. This is an important point. Please note that. Okay. So while calculating shear force, you should not consider the external joint moments and loads which are present. Okay, right. Now let's start doing it. First, what I'll do is I'll put it here. This is how much? 60 kilonewton. This is 3.6 meters and 2.4 meters. So here we have two loads. This is 90 kilonewton, 80 kilonewton, 3 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter. And this is a 5 meter length and you have a UDL of 24 kilonewton meter, right? So let's start with AB. We are doing summation V equal to 0, all upward forces positive. So what will happen? RA plus RBH will be equal to what? 60, right? Then we'll do what? Sum of moments about which point? A equal to 0, all clockwise forces positive. Okay, so here we are taking moment. So this is clockwise. So that will be plus 104.11 plus 60 into the perpendicular distance is 3.6. Again plus 209.31 minus RBH into what is the distance total? 6 meters. Okay, so this will be equal to 0. On simplifying, you will get the value of RBH equal to 88.23 kilonewton. If you substitute this here, you will get the value of RA, that's equal to minus 28.23 kilonewton, right? So now let me plot it for, let me write it down there value so that it will be easy for us further doing. So RA is how much? 28.23 kilonewton. See, now this is negative sign. So what will happen? Whatever reaction we have assumed upward is not correct. So it is a downward reaction. So let's just change the direction for this. Right. So it's a downward reaction like this. Now, what is the value of RBH? RBH is 88.23 kilonewton. Now, similar way, we'll solve it for your span BC. Okay, so it's RBV plus RCV equal to 80 plus 90. That will be nothing but 170. Right. Then sum of moments about B, let us do here. So what will happen? This is anti-clockwise 232.08. Then plus 80 into 3 goes into perpendicular distance. Then again plus 90 into 6. Then again plus 86.234. Then minus RCV into 10 equal to 0. So this is how you will get your equation. So on calculation, what will be the answer of RCV? That will be 63.4 kilo Newton. Substitute it here, you will get your RBV. That's 106.6 kilo Newton. So let me write it in the diagram. So this is how much? 106.6 kilonewton, and this is how much? 63.4 kilonewton. Now for the final member, that's your CD. So what will happen? RD plus RCH will be equal to 24 into 5. Okay, so that will be equal to what? 120. Now see here, you cannot do total load by 2 because this moment is different and this moment is different. Okay, so that's your 120. Then you do sum of moment about which point. We'll take point C. So that's anti-clockwise there first. So minus 66.012. Then again clockwise 24 into 5 into 5 by 2. Then again clockwise 166.863. Whenever you are writing moment, no need to write the perpendicular distance. Okay. Then minus RD into 5 equal to 0. So on simplification, you will get the value of RD as 80 kilo Newton. Substitute it here, you will get RCH, that's your 40 kilo Newton. Okay, so substitute, write it down in your diagram. So RD is how much? 80 kilo Newton, and RCH is how much? 40 kilo Newton. Now we need to draw the shear force diagram, right? So let's take this. Take a small diagram. Right now, go on and change the color and plot it. See now, this one is left. This is right of the beam, left of the beam. Left down is negative. Okay, so that's how much? 28.23 kilo Newton. Then right up is also negative. So how much is that value? 88. So will come somewhere here. So that's your 88.23 kilo Newton. Now be very careful. Up to this point, you should be having same shear force, right? So it will be a linear straight line like this. Be a straight line like this up to that point. Then what will happen? Drastically, it will go down by how much? 60 kilonewton. 60 kilonewton like this. See, if you add it up, this is 88.23. Okay, this is 28.23. If you subtract this portion will be 60 kilonewton. Okay, so that's how your shear force varies in this particular span. Right, now next for your BC. Okay, what are the values? Just check what are the values. Now this is left up. Left up is positive. So how much will that value be? It will be 106.6 kilo Newton. Then there is no load here, so linear. Again, it should come down by how much? 80. Okay, so again no load up to 90. So we'll go linear. Then at the 90, again it should come down by 90. Now you observe here, this is right up. Right up is negative. So how much will it be? That will be equal to your 63.4 kilo Newton. So this will get, see, you can calculate. can calculate the value and check. See here, this is 106.6. So minus 80 if you do, you will come down till here. Then again that value minus 90 if you do, will come down to 63.4. So that's how this shear force variation will happen in this portion of the frame. Okay, then coming to the last span. See here, this is right up. So right up is negative. So it's a negative value of how much? 80 kilonewton. Then left up is positive. So to be a positive value of 40 kilonewton, and this is has a UDL. So it is linear. Shear force variation is linear. So this will come with this. So this is shear force variation in this particular span. Okay. So I hope you understood how to draw the bending moment and shear force diagram. You should be very careful. If you can have a bigger diagram, that will be better. Okay, do it with a scale, that will come neatly. Okay, so in the next class we'll solve problems related to pin jointed frames or trusses.